Okay, training 29. This is a concept to try if you feel stuck in an unfulfilling career. And if you don't know me, I'm Meredith Hawley. I'm a lawyer, power dynamics facilitator, best-selling author, founder of Eris Conflict Resolution, where we help employees stop sexual harassment without quitting their jobs. So a lot of people that I run into have a terrible experience at work, or they get fired for a discriminatory reason. And sometimes for some people, it just creates this spiral of depression and anxiety. And then for other people, it launches them into something that they are super passionate about. And I find this to be fascinating. Like, what is the difference between the person who experiences discrimination and then it launches them into something amazing in their career versus the other person who ends up being like devastated by it and it really creating a huge financial impact. And the thing that, so like, this is something, this concept that I'm going to teach you in this training is something that I sort of have distilled from what I've seen of the people who do grow after harassment experience versus the people who feel stuck after harassment experience. I think most of us know people who feel stuck just in an unfulfilling job, though. And I remember I had this one client who was working with me because she couldn't decide whether to leave her job or not, and she just wanted clarity on whether to leave her job or not. And the thing that she said to me was that her job seemed so secure, even though she wasn't making very much money. She had this other job opportunity that was going to make her way more money, but it felt like this job was stable and secure, even though she could sort of see how that wasn't really true. And I remember when I was first applying for jobs as a lawyer, I sort of had this same impression that if I could just find a job that paid me a wage, that I would be secure. And I think that this idea often is what keeps people stuck in unfulfilling jobs, is that it's unfulfilling. We feel terrible, but it's secure, and everything else seems not secure. And I think that the reason is we can't really picture what our other options are. And we can't, and we hear all these stories, for example, about how building a business is so hard and terrible and so many businesses fail. Or we hear, there's no other comparable jobs to the job that we have. We always have these fear-based reasons for staying in unfulfilling jobs, right? We don't see another option that feels good. And so I think it's so interesting when I see these clients who get fired for discriminatory reasons and see them really thrive after it. I had this one client I was talking to the other day, and she was talking about really recovering after somebody, threatened her. And she was like, I'm just feeling very angry about it, which feels better than feeling afraid all the time. And she was like, but I'm not sure what else is out there. But the interesting thing about it is that this experience, like, through our process of working together, she's now starting an art business on top of her job that she's really excited and passionate about. And it probably, what she wouldn't have had to do the self-work that she's done and create the self-awareness and build the confidence in herself that she's built after this experience. And so it's interesting. So I was like, there's some room, if we want to be grateful for these very difficult experiences that launch us into our passion careers, that launch us into our creativity. But I want to take what I've seen these people do, what I've seen people who really grow after a discrimination experience. I want to take this and give it to you in this concept so that you don't have to go through something like this before you get launched into a career that feels passionate and fun and rewarding to you, right? So this is a concept I call the career statement. It's based in the idea of what we do in companies for a mission statement, but it's a little bit different. And so there are three parts to any mission statement. And there's going to be three parts to your career statement. And I think part of why I think this is important is I think if we all treat our careers as though they are our businesses, as though we're running a business and the business is our career, whether we're an employee or whether we actually own a business, then I think that we put that passion into what we're doing, right? Automatically. We take ownership over it and it feels impactful for us no matter what. So there are three parts. The first part is the mission or vision. The second part is the values, and the third part is the goals. So I'm going to go through each of these and how you define these for yourself. So what you want to do to create the mission or vision of your career is you ask yourself, what is the biggest problem you see in society today? What keeps you up at night? What is so troubling to you that you see in the world around you that you think about it often, that you like see how it's hurting other people and you see how it impacts your life? So for me, this is the concept of oppression. So when I see people being oppressed in their workplaces, this is the thing that really keeps me up at night. And like working in a healthy environment, having colleagues at work, having fun at work, loving the people I work with is so important to me. And so when I see oppression, it really like I just feel very passionately about this. So what do you complain about in society to people? What do you talk to your friends about being the biggest problem in society? What keeps you up at night? These are not necessarily easy questions. I'm not trying to pull one over on you and say that they're easy. So this is how you create the mission or the mission and vision, though, is what keeps you up at night. What would it look like for that problem to be solved? What would the world around you look like if that problem was solved? And you have to suspend some disbelief, because obviously a lot of people tell me, well, you can't end oppression. There's always going to be oppression, right? But if I can picture a world where we have ended oppression, I picture a world where everybody shows up with their talents and skills fully, right? Where we offer everything that we have. I picture a world where we've solved climate change, because whoever the person is who has this idea isn't holding it back, doesn't feel like they have to hold it back, right? So this is the vision that I see that gets me so excited. So you ask yourself, what's the biggest problem that you see? Listen to yourself and what you talk to people about, what you complain about, and then what would it look like for that problem to be solved? Just do some brainstorming about this. Then you want to choose the values for your career. And I like to choose values that are like one word kind of values, but other people do them a little differently. So I'll give you a couple of options. So this is the way you choose your values. Imagine someone who has solved the problem that keeps you up at night, right? What are the qualities that person has? How would you describe that person? So for example, the values in my business are courage, integrity, and belonging. And each of those, this is why I'm going to give you another option for it. So each of the values describe what is necessary to solve the problem, right? So courage says it's okay to be afraid and we take action anyway. Integrity says it's okay for other people to disagree with us and we still speak our truth. Belonging says that the reason that we're here is because we see something different than other people see. So you want to take ownership over those values, but they are the qualities somebody has who has solved the problem that keep you up at night. Just how would you describe that person? What do you think about that person who has solved the problem that keeps you up at night? And then once you've done those, then you want goals also. You want a measurable goal that like is binary. You can say yes, or this has happened, or no, this has not happened, right? So mission is the first one. This is the problem and what it looks like for the problem to be solved. Values is the second. That's how you describe the person who has solved the problem. That's the core descriptive words of the person who solved the problem. Or it can be a little longer, like what I was saying about belonging means that we see something different than other people see, and we belong because of that. That's why we're here. It doesn't mean everybody likes us, right? And then the third is the goal. So this is the measurable component of it. So for our business, we want to serve 100 employees this year to create healthy workplace cultures. This is the measurable way that we are contributing towards ending oppression. So without this measurable component of it, it becomes kind of like something, it can become, all of this can become something that we use to criticize ourselves and where we are now, right? But you want to set a measurable component of it, and then you want to times it by 10 to make it an impossible goal, but that you're going to try to create, right? So then what you want to think about is this person, you want to envision the person who has solved the problem that you really care about, and treat that as your future self. How are you becoming that person who has solved this problem? And then take this statement for your career and apply it to where you are now. What's the gap between where you are now and where you want to go? What's the measurable gap? What's one step right in front of you that you can take towards being that person who lives in those values and accomplishing the measurable part of the goal? I will also say that one of my friends I worked with this on, and she said that she wanted to punch me at the end of it. So this could be harder than, like, I don't want to make this sound easy, but it is important. And so if you're feeling stuck and unfulfilled at work, it's worth going through these steps and creating this vision of an impossible person who solved this problem is not to like kind of indulge in confusion and believe that it's never going to happen, because there are measurable steps that you can take to make that impact that you decide to be passionate about, right? If you feel unfulfilled in your job, it is worth taking steps to shift, and taking those steps first means having a clear vision of who the person is, who's your future self, who has solved the problem that you care about, and then having measurable steps that person that you take now towards becoming that person. But you have to know who that person is first. A lot of times we want to be confused about this. We want to be like, it's really hard, I don't know, I'm not Mother Teresa, and to give ourselves a lot of reasons to indulge in confusion and overwhelm about it, right? And that keeps us stuck. So if you feel stuck, it's worth going through this process, and it's worth even getting help towards solving it, right? Sometimes we need somebody else to look at us and say, you can become this person, you can solve this problem. I don't know how, but keep that vision of what's possible, of what seems impossible, and how do we create it as possible? How do we bring it into the world? All right. So one of the things I want you to consider is that if this seems hard, if that vision of your future self seems hard, the thing is that if you're feeling unfulfilled in your career, that is harder. What you're already doing is already hard. And so what I see people do who really grow after these harassment and discrimination experiences is, what I see them do is they embrace that it's supposed to be hard, and you can choose the hardness of stagnation, or you can choose the hardness of growth, and choosing to grow in the hard place and to challenge yourself and to know that even though it is hard, you're able to encounter it and you're able to create what you want. It just makes it serve you. It makes these hard times serve you instead of the hard part that we choose being the stagnation and the unfulfillment. All right, you guys, if you know anybody unhappy at work, send them our way. If you have questions about workplace culture, send them over to us, and thank you for watching.